Hello, this is Idodmg and welcome back to the channel. In this Path of Exile 2 video, I want to talk to you about some tips and tricks that I've learned in, 2 days of playing, something like that. Just wanted to get this quick video out there to you, and then I'm going to jump back in and keep slaying demons and trying not to die. The very first set of tips and tricks here is going to have to do with town and some of the NPCs and mechanics you can do there. Went ahead and jumped into the first city here that you're going to find in Act 1. This should look a little bit familiar if you've been playing PoE 2. The very first thing here we're going to talk about is the Gambler. During your time, and I think you unlock this pretty early on over here, if you talk to Finn, you can actually gamble your gold for items. I don't really think there's much more that we need to talk about here, other than this is kind of where you can dump your gold and gamble for items. That's really it. That's the Gambler NPC. The next piece of advice I want to give here is if you're running out of potion charges, you can just literally teleport out of your dungeon, click on the well, and it'll refill both your health and mana potions. And again, a really straightforward tip and trick there, but I can't tell you how many times I've been like, man, I just want to keep pushing this dungeon, but I'm out of charges. And then I'm like, do I really want to sit the long loading screen to go to town and refill? And you probably should, otherwise you're probably going to die and then have to restart that zone. Another NPC here in town is the Hooded one. This one's pretty important. This one will allow you to just mass identify items. Normally, if you, like in PoE 1 and stuff, if you want to identify an item, you'd have to use a Scroll of Wisdom and then click on the item to identify it. And you can still do that, like if you're in a dungeon or something and just want to see real quick. Otherwise, you can just come talk to the Hooded one, click on Identify Items, and it'll just straight up unlock everything. This one you do have to complete, I believe it's the Cemetery quest in Act 1, and you'll unlock access to this NPC. Now, the other thing you can do here is you can refund passive points for gold. It's actually pretty cheap, in my opinion, early on. I don't know how expensive it'll be later on into the end game, but I mean, I'm only in Act 2 currently, and I've already had to read spec a little bit here just to pull out a little bit more damage. Now, on top of that, you can also get your weapon set. So I'm playing Warrior. I have a one-handed set and a two-handed set. You can go into your passive tree and you can kind of assign these for however you want. So my first weapon set is weapon set 1. That's the two-handed. And you can see on the two-handed, I went and put my points down here. So when I'm using the two-handed skill, we're getting that bonus. And then you could do the same thing over here for our second weapon set. We did one-handed weapon damage. Pretty cool. I need to unlock more of those weapon sets. But yeah, this is great. I mean, it's kind of like extra skill points, honestly. It's pretty awesome. The other thing I wanted to point out here, and I feel like people probably know this, but I didn't know this until later on. The second NPC, and when you very first start out, this is the NPC we're talking about here is Una. And Una will originally be right here when you first start sitting on this bench. I've progressed the story, so she's moved down here, but you can talk to Una, and you can, you can vendor items for gold now, which is cool. But you can disenchant items over here. And if you put in, like, I have a yellow item, I could get a Regal Shard here, which is actually used in crafting. So what I've been doing is I've been vendoring until I have enough gold or where I'm comfortable. And then once I have enough gold, I feel like then I will go ahead and start disenchanting for those crafting mats. But, I think it's kind of just up to you. That's just what I do. I'm not saying that's the right thing or wrong thing to do. And also, if you're low on crafting mats, it's kind of good to remember that you can disenchant to try to get more materials there for crafting. And hopefully we'll get a crafting guide video out here. I'm just really trying to blast the game as much as possible right now. So let's go ahead and continue on with the tips and tricks video here. This next one is the Salvage bench. This one is unlocked in Act 1 as well. You just interact with it. You click on this hammer. Now, you're going to want to use this if you see an item that has any sort of quality on it. I don't have an item on me currently because I always break them down, but it'll say like superior or something like that. And that means that there's indeed quality on there. Now, quality on an item will increase the armor and different values, stuff like that. And then over on the weapons, they'll provide additional buffs as well. You also want to keep an eye out for items that have sockets. And if it's an item you're not going to use and you break it down here, you'll get some special crafting materials as well. And depending on which type of item, like if you're breaking down a socketed item, you can actually get these shards down here. And once you have 10 of these, you'll be able to unlock a orb that will allow you to add a socket. And then if you break down quality, depending on what it is, you can get all these different shards here. Or I think it's like Blackstone to improve the quality if it's armor, and then the weapons. Again, it just depends on what type of item you salvage over there at the salvage bench. Another little piece of advice I have right here, and this is really more for Warrior, but you see this little shiny thing above their head right here? That means they're able to be heavy stunned. And this is a really important mechanic for the warrior because when you heavy stun with Bone Shatter, it actually makes them explode and do this crazy shockwave. Ooh, a support gem. Nice. I'll need that. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I know when I was playing, I was like, what is stun buildup? And how do I know when it's, you know, fully built up and primed for the heavy stun? Because with Bone Shatter over here, you have to have them primed for stun to be able to get your shockwave effect. So once they're lit up, then you know, hey, I can go hit that one, make him explode, and I can stun him as well. Pretty important little mechanic there to know, and I'm sure the other classes have some pretty fun mechanics as well. But so far, I've played mostly warriors, so I just wanted to share that little piece of advice. Another little piece of advice I had for you here, and this is really more for big bosses. I don't know if I actually have any footage of it. I'll see if I can find some here. But if not, basically what it is when you're fighting a boss, when they flash red, that tells you, get the heck out of there. They're about to do a big attack. A lot of the bosses in the game have a lot of little mechanics that are really hard to miss. And I'm still learning them as well. But that's one thing that I've noticed on multiple bosses, that when they flash red, that's telling you to get the heck out of there and watch out. The next couple of things I want to talk about here is going to pertain to the world and a little bit of quality of life stuff. Let's go ahead and jump back into the gameplay. I went ahead and jump back into the game here. And this one's really important, especially if you want to farm bosses. So there's a couple different things for this. You have if you're looking at the map, you can see you have different side areas. And you have some that have a plus sign and are still lit up, even though I've killed them. So now if they're grayed out, that's like a little side boss that you've killed, GG. And then if they have a plus sign, it appears to me, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but it seems to me that if they have a plus sign, that means it's a repeatable boss that has decent rewards. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I know for me, I got stuck really hard on the Act 1 boss. And so I actually went back and fought one of these side bosses that was actually in the manor, which isn't even marked on the map. But that leads me to my next point that I want to make here, and that is if you're trying to farm something or you want to reset an instance or a map, and I've seen this asked a lot in global chat as well, in order to reset an instance on keyboard mouse, you just simply control-click, and you can open up a new instance. Now, if you're not doing that, you have to wait 8 to 15 minutes, but this is a great way to just force reset so you can get in there and really farm. And the other way you can reset these instances if you're playing on controller is you just hold down A. Normally you'd click A to go in, but if you hold down A, it'll pop up that menu as well there to reset your instances. Another little piece of advice I have here is in your options, if you click on interface, if you go down here to always show sockets, that really helps out when you're trying to sort and decide if it's something you should keep or not. There's a bunch of settings in here I recommend you check out. You can show your life and mana levels. You can actually show NPC health bars above their head, which helped me out a little bit. One other really big piece of advice I want to give here too is if you're using click to move control scheme, don't. I seriously highly recommend WASD movement. You get so much more control over your character. I played all of Act 1 with click to move and it was just really terrible. As soon as I switched to WASD though, it felt really good. I was back in control of my character again. Last but not least, and this is going to be a little bit more of an interesting tip here, I think. So this one's pretty basic, but I think it'll help you out there, hopefully. So any item in the game, this even works for like your skills, literally anything that has a tooltip, and if there's an underlined word in there, that's a tag that you can mouse over and it can give you more information on. So for example, if we want to see let's look here at Earthquake, for example. If you hold down Alt on your keyboard, that allows you to then mouse over these tags and see what the heck all this mumbo jumbo means. Like, for example, we can figure out what magnitude is. We could figure out what jagged ground is. We already know what dual wielding is, but it's pretty useful in my opinion. You can do this for items as well. Everything in the game you can do that with. So it really helps out if you're, instead of really trying to guess on something, you can actually know for a fact what it does. And that's going to wrap it up for this Path of Exile 2 tips and tricks video. There's probably going to be more of these as I learn more while we go throughout PoE 2. Currently with PoE 2, I'm really loving the game, and I don't know if I'm too early right now, if I'm just still in the honeymoon phase or what, but PoE 2 does feel like home for me. I've really always enjoyed more challenging games, and the fact that it's now blended in with the action RPG, theory crafting, building, all that stuff that we love. I am really seriously enjoying PoE 2. I've played Warrior the most. I already have 2 or 3 different build ideas that I want to test out, maybe some leveling guides. There's a lot to dig into here with PoE2, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. Hopefully you found this video useful and or entertaining. If so, don't forget that like button and subscribe to the channel if you think I've earned it. Please consider becoming a YouTube channel member today. Unlock some pretty fun perks such as behind the scenes, early access to videos when I release a big batch, as well as bloopers I find while editing videos. It also helps the family out a lot. But don't forget, your view alone means the absolute world. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.